Absolutely. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of UFD Tech Things that we do here. That's not how we start things. Anyways, today we're taking a look at a brand new Ryzen laptop. This has a Ryzen 5 4500U in this. This is the Lenovo Ideapad Flex 5 or the Lenovo Flex 5, depending on which website you're reading. So this laptop, bought it for $600 over on Amazon. We'll leave an affiliate link down in the video description in case you're considering picking it up. And I think at the very beginning, I can say that this is absolutely worth it for $600. But I guess I have to caveat that with all of the specs and the things that I found out about it while using it. Number one, let's talk about specs. Has a Ryzen 5 4500U Zen 2 processor that has integrated graphics with 6 Vega compute units in there, and it was good enough to run video games pretty decently, and we'll talk about more of that in a second. It has a 14-inch 1080p IPS touch display with 250 nits of brightness. The weakest part of the display has to be its color accuracy, coming in at 45% NTSC or roughly 57% sRGB. It is definitely not good enough to do professional level color grading. It's not a higher end IPS panel. However, viewing angles are really good. It does have a glossy coating on the display, so reflections are going to be a real thing, but that color accuracy is just not good. It's fine if you're just playing games, if you're doing light work, but if you have to do actual professional level stuff, they cheaped out on the display. Maybe don't consider it for that. But for normal people, for my purposes, who has a color grade preset for his videos, it's totally fine. As I mentioned, it is a touchscreen display, and one of the things Lenovo includes with this laptop at the $600 price point is a stylus, a pressure-sensitive stylus that you can use to actually write and take notes, because thankfully it is a 2-in-1 and the hinge can fold all the way back. This reminds me back in my college days when I got an HP 2-in-1 way before it was a thing. Came with a stylus that used to slot in, and I would take all of my notes in OneNote with my stylus. This is absolutely great for that. I remember also getting yelled at by my professor who said no computers in class, but I was using it as my notepad and he still said no. So I had to leave my computer home for that one class. That one class made me sad. Sad college stories aside, let's get to the rest of the specs. Has 16 gigs of RAM at 3200 megahertz. However, one of the downsides is that it is soldered on and there is no room for upgradability, or for that matter, downgradability if that would be your desire. However, 16 gigs, more than adequate for a lot of people. 3200 megahertz, plenty of fast speed. It does have a 256 gig NVMe SSD. SK Hynix is the one in there, and it runs at speeds of 2000 megabytes per second read and about 1000 megabytes per second write. However, that one is replaceable in case you want to get a higher capacity or a faster NVMe drive. It is upgradable with the 9 security screws being removed from the bottom plate. You can access everything underneath, but the only thing that you're actually going to be able to replace is the thermal paste under the cooler and then that SSD. So raw specs, it's a pretty decent laptop. When you're looking at anything in this price range, you're looking at an i5 10th gen CPU on Intel side, and honestly, this thing outperforms it in a lot of different areas. And in fact, I compared it directly to my Wootbook Metal, which is also a 14-inch Ultrabook type laptop, and with this having an 8th gen i5, the i5 8265U, and an MX250 dedicated GPU, this thing beat it in gaming performance with just the 4500U, coming in at this running 73 FPS average in Fortnite at 1080p medium and at 1080p very low. For PUBG, it hit 32 FPS. It did burn a little hot. It got around 90 degrees Celsius during gaming, which isn't great. However, that never translated to anything above the keyboard. It was just blowing out the exhaust on the back. 90 degrees is a little hotter than I would have liked to see, but again, it's not terrible. So take that for what it is. While the gaming performance on the 4500U is good, the CPU performance is just out of this world. Compared to my i5 8265U, I experienced over double the amount of CPU performance, with the Cinebench R15 score on the 4500U coming in at 913 to the 8265U's 412. The Ryzen chip's CPU performance is honestly on another level and just allows for a new level of mobile productivity that I haven't seen before. Let me know if you want me to do a dedicated benchmark video on the 4500U. I just tested very normal esports games. This thing will be able to run Valorant, no problem. It'll be able to run Dota, League, all that kind of stuff, no problem. Maybe some AAA titles at 720p, lower resolution, but in case you want a dedicated benchmark video on the 4500U, let me know down below. So comparing it to my MX250 laptop, this thing smacks it in the face, and my MX250 laptop was $150 more expensive at the time. And let's also compare the size of these. These are both 14-inch laptops. However, because the Wootbook metal is made out of magnesium alloy and this is more of a plastic material, the Lenovo Ideapad is heavier, coming in at 3.6 pounds. It's 0.8 inches thick, whereas my Wootbook metal was much lighter and much thinner. Battery life, let's talk about that for a second. The 4500U actually does sip on power. The TDP is rated at 15 watts. It has a 51 watt-hour battery inside, and with active use, I'm talking I was using this thing, I got 6 hours out of the battery life. If I actually was doing like very little stuff and maybe just watching a Netflix video, I could push it 8 or 9 hours. This isn't quite the 10 hours that Lenovo is promoting on their Amazon page, but 6 hours of active use is pretty dang good, and the 8 hours not doing anything, totally fine. Regarding the rest of the laptop, it's okay. We could talk about the I/O for the second. On the left side, it's kind of weird because it has a power port, an HDMI, a USB-C, and a headphone port. However, the power port that's included on this, the power brick is a Type-C connector and doesn't actually connect to that power port, which I don't understand. I guess it's just because it's a shell that they already had and they decided they wanted this to charge over Type-C. I don't get it. It also that's the only it's also the only Type-C connector on the entire laptop. So you can either charge it or like you'd have to get a dongle to use the USB-C. It's kind of a weird decision to not include the normal power adapter and instead making me charge it over Type-C. Really confused about that one. On the other side, we got two more USB 3.0 ports. We got an SD card reader and the power button, and that's basically it. There's not much to it in I/O. It's everything you need. You have 3 USB ports, HDMI out, headphone, basically all you could ask for. The touchpad, totally fine. A little bit loose, a little wobbly, but it's not anything terrible. Keyboard, really firm. I've always loved my Lenovo keyboards. This one, no complaints whatsoever. Speakers on this thing, they are upward firing. They sound okay at the high end. They don't really distort at high volumes. They have no bass response whatsoever, so they try to mimic it with just manipulating the mids, and it just doesn't come out well. But again, these aren't horrible speakers on a $600 laptop. It's not something that I am super upset about. So it's like overall just really good at everything. It has a webcam cover slider, which we can talk about the webcam and microphone for a second. For the webcam and the microphone, as you can hear, the microphone is kind of subpar quality. I'm clipping very easily, even though I'm a good distance away from the actual device. You can also see the webcam struggles really hard with white balance. I'm turning green and changing colors just based on where I am in the scene, which isn't something I've experienced with other laptop webcams. And then alternatively, or also, in addition to this, you can hear the touchpad makes a lot of noise, and then also the keyboard as well. It's not very clean microphone. This will suffice for Zoom calls. It'll work for anything that you need it for, but it's not very good. I guess you can turn it off, which is cool. And then just the rest of it. It's got AC Wi-Fi with a Realtek 8822 CE Wi-Fi, which is 2x2. It's got Bluetooth 4.2. The speakers are 2x2 watts, and it also has a fingerprint reader on it. It's actually like a pretty solid college laptop. That's exactly what I look at this for. I would have been so happy to have this. It can play light games. It can do everything that you would need to. Back in the day, I probably would have played a lot of Team Fortress 2 on this. And it has everything that you would need. Webcam and microphone for your Zoom classes. It has decent speakers. You can type everything. You can take notes with the included pen. And the best part is, again, that price, $600. The Ryzen 5 4500U coming in with some magnificent specs. Again, maybe the battery life isn't exactly what everybody's looking for, but with active use, me doing everything that I could possibly do on the laptop, whether it was some light photo editing or chatting with friends online, just actively using the laptop, 6 hours. If you are basically like Googling all the time, I'm sure you might get a little bit more out of it. But honestly, it's really hard to find a flaw in this Lenovo Flex 5, especially at the price point. If we consider the fact that this is a $600 laptop, it checks all the boxes that you would want in a more transportable laptop. Sure, it's not 15.6 inches. Sure, it doesn't have a dedicated GPU, but that 6 compute unit Vega integrated GPU in here does more than I've ever seen really in a lower end laptop. It's actually quite impressive. The only complaint that, again, I have is the fact that the power cable situation is a little weird. You got the power port, which I guess I could buy the adapter for, and then I have USB-C, and I'm forced to charge it over USB-C instead of them including the thing in the laptop. And then the pen's just a bonus. You get a pen. It's a stylus. You can do things with that. It's a great little college laptop. I love it. So we've left a link in the video description down below in case you're interested in the Lenovo Flex 5. It's actually one of the very few Ryzen 5 4500U laptops that are out on the market right now. I think there were only 2 more listed on AMD's website, and they were both by Lenovo. So we might see more coming out in the near future, but 6 cores, 6 threads, 6 compute units, the Ryzen 5 4500U laptop, I'm heavily impressed. And again, leave a comment down below if you want us to do a dedicated gaming benchmark video on the 4500U. Today was more about the Lenovo Flex 5 in general. That's kind of it. Let me know what you think of the Lenovo Flex 5 down below in the comments, and hit the like button on the video if you enjoyed it. Get subscribed to stay up to date on all of our tech related content. Looking forward to checking out more Ryzen laptops as they come out. Thank you guys so much. I'll catch you in the next one. I love this laptop. I think I'm gonna keep it. You come with me.